the dream. You have to sleep the dream. You have to dream the dream. You gotta touch, you have to see it when nobody else sees it. You have to feel it when it's not tangible. You have to believe it when you cannot see it. You gotta be possessed with the dream.
What's up, guys? Long time no see, no talk. Gonna do another voiceover. This video is from August, when these fish are offshore and deep drop shotting. I'm throwing this drop shot on a bait caster with 12-pound line, a 3/8 ounce tungsten sinker, and a VMC spin shot weedless drop shot hook, 2/0. This spot right here is a offshore hump. When they get on it good. Sometimes you have to go through 5, 10, 15 spots before you really find a group of them. It all depends. Usually they'll get out here in July, late July into August, and then right now around this time it starts getting really tough until they move to their fall spots for good, and then it's a lot easier to catch groups of them once they start schooling up. The past few times out has been horrible. I don't know what's going on right now, and I don't know if it's the transition period when they're transitioning from deep to shallow. I don't know what's going on right now, but the past few times have been really tough. Like I said, that fish there was on a drop shot. Now this spot right here is it's a community hole. It's a road bed out. It goes out into about 16 to 18 foot. And this guy sitting right in front of me right here was fishing over on a point to the left of me. And he watched me catch a few and then decided he's going to pull 10 feet in front of me and just sit right on the spot. So kind of like instant karma. I think I caught 2 or 3 right in front of him. So then he finally left. But yeah, I'm sure you guys have experienced people like that before that can't find their own fish, so they'll just sit on your shit. Same thing here with a drop shot. Now I have a spinning rod in my hand. With the spinning rod, I go downsized on my weight. I'll throw a 1/4 ounce drop shot weight, and the length of the leader I use is about a foot, maybe a little bit less. But the bait really doesn't matter as long as it looks like bluegill or a worm or something like that. Like I said, this one was off of a road bed. You just got to kind of fish the road bed until you find the key spots. And in my last video, I showed you what to look for on those offshore spots, how to find them when you're side scan. So basically, this video is just showing you how I catch them on those spots. This area right here is another community hole. It's a point. This one has a creek channel that runs next to it, and it also has the main river channel that comes straight out behind me. Usually what I'll do is I'll just hit a bunch of these spots until I find the one that has a group of fish. This particular day, this spot had a ton of them on it. I probably could have sat there all morning and caught them, but they were pretty much the same size, so I moved on trying to find a couple bigger ones since they were biting so well that day. Same thing here. It's a drop shot too. 1/4 ounce weight, 2/0 hook. My line on my spinning rod, I go with 10-pound braid to an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. I usually use about 20 foot of fluorocarbon, and then to my hook, and then from my hook to my drop shot, I'll go 8 to 12 inches. There's some hard gravel and some wood and a couple big rocks out here that's basically what I was targeting on this point. They were grouped up pretty good that day. The reason why I go braid to fluorocarbon is because if you've ever used straight fluorocarbon on a spinning rod, it's really not manageable at all. You'll cast and it kind of bird's nest up at the tip. It just doesn't flow right out of the reel. So you want to use braid to a fluorocarbon leader. This next spot is there's a creek channel here too. There's a brush pile out here. There's actually a few of them. This one was a little bit shallower and about 12 foot, and then there's another one out further that's about 18 foot. One of the two usually have fish on them, so I just kind of hit it until I figure out which one they're on. Same setup here, drop shot. In August, it's really hard to beat a drop shot. As you notice, I only have 4 rods on my deck, and 3 of them have drop shots on them. So it's hard to beat. It's just once that water gets warm and those fish are out there, it's just a finesse tactic to catch fish that you normally probably wouldn't catch. I'm not willing to change and try to see if I can catch them on something else when they're biting something so good. I really didn't put the drop shot down from mid-July all the way until now. I mean, I'm still using it now. So it's just an awesome way to catch fish in the summertime. Also, another big thing is with your spinning rods. You don't want to hop the bait. A lot of guys you'll see will be flicking the tip and flicking the tip and flicking the tip. I never really had good success on this lake doing that. I mean, you can do it if you're looking at a fish on your graph and you're trying to get them to bite, but I would just drag it, just normal, and then when you feel something hard, just let it sit for a second. This is the same point. I'm back on that same point again. There were quite a few fish that I caught off of this one that day. See, I just pulled off of a piece of wood right there, and as soon as I pull off, it falls and he eats it. That's 95% of the time. That's what it's going to happen. You don't want to go out there and sit in open water and just fish contour lines. Bass are structure oriented. They're going to be sitting on something or near it. Sometimes it's a little different. They could suspend over top of it, but if that's the case, they're going to eat the bait before it ever hits the bottom. Like I said, this particular structure I was fishing was 12 to 13 foot. There is another drop. Now, if the water gets up into the 90s, they'll go out even further than that. But if it's in the 80s, chances are that they're not going to go out extremely deep. I would say 20 foot or less. Once it gets hotter than that, then you can start searching otherwise. But basically, once you're seeing bait on your graph around these areas, the main depth that they're going to be holding in. If you're seeing all your bluegill and 8 to 12 foot, then that's what I would try to focus most of your time on. And I'm not saying there's not fish shallow. There's always fish shallow. It's just I don't want to weed through small ones to get the big ones. I'd rather just get a few bites a day and have them all good ones. I would rather fish that way. This area here is an offshore brush pile. Also, it's the same general area. I've moved down just a little bit. Like I said, there was quite a few fish on this spot. There was one area this year that was unbelievable. I mean, a buddy of mine, we went out to it every day for at least 3 weeks and caught at least 5 fish off of it. There had to have been 50 to 100 bass on this one piece of structure, and it was unbelievable. Now I can't catch a fish off of it. I don't know if it was just a giant school of them that had moved off, but for whatever reason, they're not there anymore. Same bait, same rod, same setup. Like I said, that drop shot's hard to beat. Just pick a bait that you like that mimics the bait fish pretty well and stick to it. It's not a hard tactic to learn. The biggest thing is learning how to change your drag and set up your drag. Once you set the hook, you want your drag a little bit tighter, enough to where it's going to pull out line a little bit. But then once you have them on, you want to loosen that drag up real good. Just because it's 8-pound line, you don't want it to break. Now this spot here, it's some brush offshore on a point next to a creek channel, and about 100 yards from me, my buddy's sitting there fishing too. And at this time that I caught this fish, it was so crazy. Both of us hooked up at the exact same time. So I don't know if it was like just coincidence or if something just triggered those fish to eat. But they both bit at almost identical times. It was pretty crazy. he had his fish in the boat while I'm standing here talking to him. So it was pretty cool. Just awesome to watch because we don't really fish next to each other all that often, and you know, pretty cool. But this area here, the brush pile is in about 16 foot. There's quite a few other ones that are up a little bit shallower, but I had been catching them on this the same waypoint really. So I didn't even bother hitting the other ones unless I didn't get bit on this one, but I had been getting bit on it for a while, so I stuck with that one. And they're all quality fish. I mean, every one of them was, you know, that live out there are good ones. You'll catch a non-keeper every now and again, but not very often. Most of them are, you know, in the 3 to 6 pound range. This one here is another brush pile. And no, I'm sorry, this is not a brush pile. There's a brush pile out here further in 16 foot, but this spot right here is an old creek channel running alongside of some rock. It's almost like a secondary rock point. And I was basically throwing up to the grass and then pulling off of that ledge to that chunk rock. And when you get stuck in that chunk rock, you can almost feel every time that you know, you're right in the fish's living room. It's all these places too. It's not, you can't just look at this video and go out there to these areas and catch them every time. It's not like that. You're going to have to hit, like I said, 10, 15, 20, up to 30 spots before you might find a group of them. And sometimes you might just catch one off of a couple of them. It's just, it all depends on whether they're feeding and whether you're there at the right time. But I appreciate you guys watching this video. I'll try to get out another one before winter. I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments below. And it's good talking to you guys, and hope to see you out there soon.